Jimin leaned against the cold brick wall at the corner of YN Street, his dark coat heavy with water. His hair clung damply to his forehead, the soft strands plastered by the drizzle. Every now and then, he'd glance up at the faint glow spilling from YN's apartment window. He told himself it wasn't obsession, it was care. He told himself he just needed to make sure YN was okay, but deep down, in the parts of himself he couldn't look at too closely, he knew it wasn't the truth. It was more than care. It was more than love. It was something he couldn't switch off, no matter how hard he tried. A week ago, YN had stopped answering his calls. YN had stopped replying to his texts. YN had stopped smiling at him in that way. The way that made him feel like the entire world could disappear and it wouldn't matter, as long as she stayed. And then, worst of all, he'd seen her, laughing with someone else. A stranger, a man whose hand brushed hers too casually, whose smile lingered too long. The sight had burned itself into his chest, and he had walked away before she could notice him. But his footsteps led him here tonight, just like they had for the last 6 nights in a row. Present. The street was quiet except for the sound of rain hitting the pavement. Jimin's breath formed faint clouds in the cold night air. He shifted his weight from one foot to the other, 1,000 thoughts swirling in his head. Things he wanted to say, questions he wanted to ask, and confessions he'd never dared to voice when she was still his. But then, her voice cut through the rain. Jimin? It was soft, unsure, like she was half afraid of the answer. He turned slowly, his heartbeat stuttering at the sight of her. Wen was standing under the dim glow of the street lamp, a thin sweater clinging to her frame, her hair damp from the rain. "You're here again," she said, not as a question, but as a tired statement. He swallowed, his throat tight. "You weren't answering my calls." Her lips pressed together. "I told you we need space." "I know," he said, taking a small step toward her. "But I can't do it, YN. I can't just not see you. I wake up thinking about you. I fall asleep hearing your laugh in my head. It's like you're under my skin and I..." "Jimin, stop!" Her voice was gentle, but it broke him more than if she'd shouted. Flashback. He remembered the first time he had heard YN laugh. Really laugh. She was sitting across from him in that little coffee shop, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug. Something he had said, something stupid, had made her throw her head back and laugh. And he had sworn right then that he would spend the rest of his life trying to hear that sound again. Now, that laugh belonged to someone else. Present, do you love him? Jimin's voice cracked, so low it was almost drowned by the rain. Ayan hesitated. "I'm trying to move on." The words hit harder than he expected. He blinked rapidly, forcing away the sting in his eyes. "So that's it? Everything we had? It's just gone?" She looked at him for a long moment, and he could see the war in her expression. The part of her that still cared, and the part of her that needed to let go. "You can't love me like this," she whispered. "It's not healthy for either of us." He laughed quietly, a sound without warmth. "Maybe it's not healthy, but it's real. And I don't feel this way about anyone else. Her shoulders trembled, and for a moment he thought she might close the distance between them. But instead she stepped back. Goodbye, Jimin. Aftermath, YN turned, walking away slowly, her figure blurring in the curtain of rain. Jimin stood frozen, his heart pounding against his ribs. Each step she took felt like a string being cut inside him. He didn't call after her. He didn't run to stop her. He just stood there, watching until she disappeared into the night. His coat was soaked. His hands were numb, but he didn't move. Because even though she was gone, he knew he would be there tomorrow night, and the night after, and the night after that. Just to make sure YN was safe, even if she was never his again,